Democrat billionaires still have no idea what to do with the Democrat Party. What a joke. Billionaire donors withholding cash from Democrat Party. Slam weak DNC as ineffectual. The Democrat Party has a serious cash flow problem. Last week, it was revealed that the party may have to borrow money just to keep the lights on. Leadership is plagued by infighting and chaos. David Hogg's brief tenure as vice chair of the DNC caused weeks of distraction when they should have been fundraising and trying to register voters. Now it's being reported that some of the biggest donors in the Democrat Party are withholding cash from the party because they feel it's weak and ineffectual. From the New York Post. Billionaire Democrat donors, including Barry Diller and Michael Bloomberg, are refusing to fork over more cash for now to the party's main fundraising committee because there's now a broader consensus it's ineffectual, sources said. The DNC has been plagued by infighting and defections as the party remains virtually leaderless since President Trump's victory over Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, prompting some once reliable and deep-pocketed donors to yank funding for the time being. For a variety of reasons, I have no intention of donating, media mogul Diller told the Post last week. Diller, chairman of such holdings as the internet and media behemoth, IAC, seethed in his just-released memoir, Who Knew?, that former President Joe Biden and his administration used a bait-and-switch tactic when it came to his promise of restoring the soul of the nation. Mark Halperin recently discussed the problems with the current leadership at the DNC.
Are these stories just a bunch, as the chairman and his people say, just a bunch of Washington, D.C. inside gossip? Or is there anything in those three pieces that if you were a Democrat, you'd actually be worried about?
There's a lot in those pieces that I would be worried about. I mean, and we don't have enough time, but I'll just say, two big ones. One is money. Like we've always talked about this. The job of the chairman is to raise money and then use it to build infrastructure and kind of have a pot of cash for campaigns to use to support them in the midterms and for the president. It is being reported that the Republican National Committee has $68 million on hand and the DNC has $18 million. We have had 2-to-1, 3-to-1 cash on hand advantages the last 6 or 7 years, and now we are staring at a 3-to-1 disadvantage, and that's a huge problem. The stories are saying the committee's thinking of borrowing money. And that has not happened in over 25 years, since before Terry McAuliffe. The second is, and Mark, you've talked about this here and on other platforms, voter registration numbers continue to be terrible for the Democratic Party. And they continue to be very strong for the Republican Party. So money and infrastructure are the two big things that you're supposed to be doing. And then just the other thing is, it is not good when you have people like Donna Brazile and others saying, who is, for those who don't know, she is a very prominent Black figure in the Democratic Party, going back to when she ran Al Gore's campaign in 2000. She was like, he's not my cup of tea, basically. And like, I don't want to be his friend. I mean, that was taken aback.
Yeah. And Sean, before you jump in, I'll just say, picking up, Dan, on what you said, like, you have to be a titan to raise money when you're out of power. And you got to give people confidence. And I can't tell you the number of donors who've said to me, like, I don't even want to meet with the guy. Like, what's the point? I don't want to write him a check. What's my money going for?
Well, of course, they're going to have issues, particularly financial issues within the party. There is a massive distrust because they obliterated their own credibility. They try to convince you that Joe Biden was actually physically and mentally fit. And then they try to convince you, well, now it's time for him to set aside. Let's steal the nomination from him. And let's punch in Kamala Harris. That's even more of a disaster. And that proved to be true as she got obliterated by Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Former Democrat advisor blasted his own party for calling for impeachment rather than supporting Trump's Iran strike. Fox News reports, former Democrat Party advisor Dan Turrentine said the unhinged calls for impeachment in the wake of President Donald Trump's attack on Iran was truly TDS. His tweet reads, "For so many in my party to knee-jerk with unhinged calls for impeachment and sadly omit in their statement support for Iran not having nuclear weapons, which has been a principle of our party for 40 years, is truly TDS." He also appeared on Fox News recently, telling Jesse Waters, about how the Democrat Party has no strategy beyond aiding Trump.
Well, I think part of the problem is we don't have an agenda right now. And, winning campaigns focus on the real lives of real people with effective leaders and something positive to say. And we have none of the above. I think what's so frustrating is Kamala Harris tried this playbook. She tried calling him a dictator. She threw everything she could. She did the rally at the Ellipse to try to remind people of January 6th. And voters said, and for my life, I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about immigration. We don't want to talk about those things. The immigration rallies, the protests we had, you had some people protesting that ICE shouldn't exist. Some people protesting that he took over the National Guard. Some people protesting that we're being too rough on the bad hombres, right? But no one was proposing ideas to solve the problems that people care about. You just talked about Donald Trump's thing at McDonald's. This last week, we should be having town halls with local ag workers and people in hospitality. We should be having rallies with local hospitals in rural areas. Instead, Chuck Schumer yesterday has a big press conference on abortion.
Well, the Democrat Party decided to embrace the satanic death cult. I believe it may be too late for them, and that's why they're doing some serious attempts at damage control, and that's why they're so divided. You reap what you sow. Cancer, acne rosacea, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis are 4 different diseases in 4 different areas of medicine. What if they can all be treated with parasite medication, and that turns out for these diseases to be true? What if I told you that if you had a pet or ate sushi, you are more likely to have parasites? This means that a lot of our ailments that we experience every day are caused not by environmental issues, but by parasites as well. This is something Big Pharma does not want you to know about. I know many of us check off many of these boxes. This is why Purge is offering their new liver cleanse products for all of you out there that need to clear those toxins out once and for all. PurgeStore.com offers everything you need to cleanse and detox your body. Powerful enzymes and probiotics, 15-day colon cleanse protocols, liver cleanse, and of course, the parasite cleanse. Right now, if you go to PurgeStore.com and use promo code DREW, that's DREW, you will get 20% off your entire order. Use the link in the description below, PurgeStore.com, and support the Gateway Pundit today. The Gateway Pundit is supported by the people, we the people, that is you, the American people. We thank you for your support. Well, speaking of Kamala Harris, cackling sellout Kamala Harris leaning toward entering California governor's race in 2026. On Sunday, June 22nd, The Hill reported that failed 2020 and 2024 presidential candidate Kamala Harris is leaning toward entering the 2026 California gubernatorial race, per sources familiar with the former vice president's thinking. Here's a quote from The Hill. While the sources caution that Harris hasn't made a final decision yet and is still considering all her options, they say she has made it clear that she is not done with public service and is giving the race strong consideration. Those who have spoken to Harris about the possibility of entering the race say it has given her a renewed sense of excitement, and as one source put it, a glimmer in her eyes. In a free and fair election scenario, Kamala Harris will get obliterated. At this point, put her up against anybody. I think the majority of the country pretty much hates her at this point. However, California is clearly rigged, clearly cooked. Those elections are nowhere near secure in any way, shape, or form. If they do run her in California, she will be installed. Speaking of leftist clowns, deranged Rosie ODonnell is demanding a 2024 recount 8 months after the election. Rosie has been pushing the idea that Trump didn't really win the 2024 election for months now. Breitbart News reports Rosie ODonnell promotes recount of Trump's victory over Kamala Harris. Rosie ODonnell took to social media on Monday to promote a recount of President Donald Trump's landslide victory over former Vice President Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. The so-called comedian shared a post to her Instagram story from social media influencer Joe Braxton, who claimed that Tesla CEO Elon Musk hacked and stole the 2024 presidential election in his demand for a recount. "We demand a recount," the online influencer exclaimed in the caption of his Instagram post, which was shared by Rosie ODonnell. Braxton went on to bizarrely allege that Elon hacked and stole the election, then created a department where he could spend months deleting the evidence and firing the workers that could find out. Here's the quote: "There's seriously no way he won 7 swing states," Braxton asserted in his post. And there is the repost in Rosie ODonnell's Instagram story demanding a recount. Well, this is the Democrat Party's problem. The inconsistency, the hypocrisy, the lies, the doublespeak, the hive mind cult mentality, where it's literally believe what we tell you to believe, listen to what we tell you to listen to, watch what we tell you to watch, and we, the overlords, the fact checkers, know what's best for you. My name is Drew Hernandez for the Gateway Pundit, and you have been on Watch with Drew Hernandez. I'll see you guys on the next one.